Good evening. Let's go some of this. I'm glad to have you back. This is Shitake News. I'm excited, but today we're going to cover one story again. Unfortunately, for the second time in a row, we're going to talk about the COVID-19, and the Korean chaos. I've been reading a lot of updates on this, and there's a lot of new chaotic news going on. So today's update is kind of late because I have a bunch of stories I've been looking at, but I feel that today is we're going to focus totally on COVID for this late update. And we're talking about the new issues and new problems that are coming up, especially in South Korea. It seems that there's a church responsible for spreading this disease or the virus even more than it needs to be. They're saying that the leader is immortal. He can't die. And they're saying that if you get sick, then it's because you lack faith. And these tests that they're doing are spreading the virus more than they needed to be. And it's a god-awful situation. It's one of the worst things I could have hoped for. And I keep seeing videos of people coughing on elevator buttons and purposely it's passed through fluid, so it could be passed that way, and purposely trying to spread the disease as much as they can. Korea is going to land themselves in the list of the no-fly zone. Unfortunately, Japan is also on that list. And let me be clear, I am absolutely furious that we are on that list. Not because we deserve to be there, but because this prime minister, this idiot, decided to wait to the very last moment to bar travel from China. For political reasons, they delayed stopping Chinese tourists from coming here. And this is ridiculous now. We're stuck with this princess ship with a bunch of people infected. And this could have been avoided. They waited for the WHO, WHO is the organization, World Health Organization, who waited and delayed to give the no-fly to China. But they're very Chinese friendly. They wait into the absolute last moment. It wasn't necessary. U.S. stopped immediately. No questions asked. Even the Democrats and Republicans were like, yep, that seems like the genuinely right call to make. So I am incredibly angry at the Prime Minister here in Japan. This could have been avoided. You could have avoided the no-fly list. And now it's too late. Now we have to deal with what we have. But unfortunately, luckily, Japanese culture is genuinely clean and courteous and mindful about trying to stay healthy. They wear a mask on the regular. And I see hand sanitizers. I had lunch today, and they had hand sanitizers almost everywhere I went. So I appreciate that gesture. But still, this could have been avoided. I'm starting to get more and more nervous as time passes by. That aside, the coronavirus is a problem. It's a huge problem because, the symptoms are flu-like. But it's causing disruptions. Travel, tourism, business, imports, even banks. They're burning, literally setting $600 million on fire. I read a story last week. They're taking these extreme measures to stop the spread because it's like a fluid that passes by. So if you lick your fingers when you're counting money, if you do anything and you happen to have a cold, these little things can transfer the disease or the virus from one person to another. And quarantine has been broken here and there. This disease is spreading faster than than expected. And a few things contribute to that. People not taking it seriously yet. One thing that I see people complain about is that the Princess cruise ship. There's some British individuals, a couple, who are asking to be support. They're asking for support from the U.S. They're undermining their own government because they're just upset at how long the delays are. And they're asking for Trump to support them because it wasn't Trump actually. Trump is really, really angry. And for every reason to be angry. They broke quarantine. Trump was planning to honor quarantine. Doesn't mean he was going to abandon the people. He was going to send them everything they could possibly need. But they brought back 14 individuals who tested positive. There was no need to bring them back here. We could have sent anything and everything they could have wanted to Japan so they can be treated here until they're healthy or then tested negative and then be brought back to the U.S. There was no need to break quarantine. Trump asked them not to do it. And for some reason, somebody in the head department, somebody decided that they were going to go ahead and just bring him anyways. I hope heads roll for that crucial mistake. They're putting lives at risk that should not be put at risk, that they didn't have to be put at risk. Those infected are already infected. They just need to be treated and taken care of until they get healthy again. There's nothing that we can do for them back home that we can't do for them here. Same thing goes for these British individuals. The hospitals here in Japan are pretty close to second to none. They're really high speed. The clinics, not so much, but as far as the main hospitals here, they're phenomenal. And I don't agree with breaking quarantine. I mean, it's unfortunately that you're sick, but if I get sick, I expect to be kept away from everyone until I'm healthy. And if I don't make it, I don't make it. I just don't make it in a different country. It's for the better. It's for the best. It's for everyone's sake. So Trump is furious, and I completely agree with him. I really wish they allowed them to stay here, to be treated, to be supported, to bring supplies over, to do whatever testing they have to do. But in this country, we have 3 or 4 military bases here in the mainland of Japan, and a few more in Okinawa and up north in Korea. So we had plenty of resources to move around. We even have the means to move around. We have our own. At least in Okinawa, we had enough helicopters to fly around all over Japan. We used to fly from Okinawa to Korea for exercises, so we can move around and we can mobilize. I don't agree, and we even have the carrier out here. We have plenty of resources. They did not need to put the U.S. continent at risk by flying them over. So I agree with Trump there. The virus is causing more issues because of this. These untraceable clusters. There's like groups of people getting sick, and normally when somebody gets sick, you can trace it back to where they came from, how they came in contact with somebody with the virus, how this all went down. But they're unable to keep track of it. They're not sure how they ended up sick, and this causes alarm because no longer keeping track of it or unable to keep track of it causes a chaos factor. How is it going to, where did it come from? How are you spreading? Who have you talked to? Who else might be in this unknown category? This is a big issue when tracking viruses. Once you lose track of it, it's free for all. You have no clue where things are. All you can do is report when somebody starts showing symptoms. And that is too late. They would have had a few weeks of infecting others before they get to the point where they're showing symptoms. So even the ones that got sent back to the U.S., they're going to be put in quarantine for 2 weeks. But the virus has about a 24-day incubation period. So that's 10 days less than the sick individuals can remain sick. I don't know. Seems scary, and I hope people are taking this more serious. The virus is interrupting supply chains. I fear about people sending lobsters and things back into the wild so they can keep reproducing because they couldn't sell them or they can't ship them or the shipping lines are stopped. I'll be honest that once somebody in my immediate vicinity or at work gets sick, I'm no longer going to work. I'll take whatever days off I have and whatever days off I don't have. And I'll stay home until that passes over or until at least 24 days pass by. But people are still taking it lightly. I implore you, if you have not bought supplies, go ahead and buy them. Get your pantry nice and stocked with things that will last a while. Fruits and veggies are all great and all, but buy some canned things that will last a while. Israel quarantined 200 South Koreans. Now, Israel has reason to quarantine 200 South Koreans, and they're quarantining them on a military base because in the Holy Land, there was 9 tourists from Korea that were sick, and they were touring the Holy Land. So they're now worried about what they can't keep track of. People who are carrying the virus and are unaware of the virus, or unaware that they're sick themselves, are spreading the disease. And South Korea has been kind of lackadaisical about taking care of or restricting or protecting themselves. So there's the culture difference between there and here is immense. I'm not sure what precautions they're taking, or how they're being how careful they're being. But I went to Tokyo today, or actually I went to Shinjuku, and I didn't see a single person except for tourists who were walking around without a mask. All of them wore masks. Every local, every Japanese, but tourists still, they think it's awkward or they think it's strange, but they need to start taking it more serious. And not just the cloth mask. That doesn't work. If you're unaware of what type of masks work, I suggest you look it up. I'll put a list, or I'll try to put up pictures of what masks work. But there's a few masks that do not work. The cloth, simple surgical mask that just stop fluids, that does not work. That will not keep you safe. They have to have a filter in the inside, or they have to be the cone masks. Those cool, sleek, Mortal Kombat looking masks do not work as well. Those are just for looks. They have nothing inside of it. So we have to look into what kind of mask you're buying if you are buying masks. Buy food that stays a while. I'm stocking up my pantry. Not doing anything ridiculous, but I'll buy twice as many as dried fruits, or dried veggies, or dried whatever that'll stay a while. And canned stuff, pastas, rice. We'll buy a ton of rice. Rice lasts a while. So I suggest you do the same. Another thing that keeps popping up is the banks are now feeling the heat in China. Economically, it's going to impact them in a scale we've never seen before. There's never been anything outside of a war that's going to impact their economy as much as this. So you'll probably start seeing their stocks drop quick like. Not saying that you should take advantage of that, but banks are going to crash, and when banks crash, certain services crash. A lot of firms are closing. Click this link if you want to know what businesses seem to be in trouble in China. But there seems to be a lot of banks that are in trouble. Not just because of the burning the cash, which $600 billion to them is nothing, or to a major bank is nothing. But there's a lot of issues arising from people not going to work, people not being able to travel along, people not being able to accept or send tourism. Buy local stuff if you can. We never know how things play out, but if you can, if you have the space or the money or the choices, buy American, buy local. Take care of our own markets as much as you can. You never know what's going to happen, so at least try to keep your markets and your local suppliers, supply them and keep them in business, just in case the worst happens. We'll leave it at that for today. Again, I implore you, buy water, buy food, at least enough to last you 14 to 24 days. Food and water in case you have to take some sick days off to avoid getting sick yourself. Go ahead and prepare for at least that long. That would be my recommendation. Thank you very much. I'll give you another update later on, a little lighter on the stories. But today I just want to talk about the coronaviruses and some of the issues that are coming up. And I hope everyone stays safe and takes it seriously. Wish me luck here in Japan. And good luck to everyone else out there. Have a good night. お疲れ様です。